My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 39 years old now, but I still remember the sting of being fired like it happened yesterday. 6 years have passed, but when I close my eyes, I can still hear the sound of the HR manager's voice, flat and rehearsed, telling me that my services were no longer needed. I wasn't a troublemaker. I wasn't flashy or loud. I was the kind of employee who got in early, stayed late, and never asked for credit. At Rothbridge & Cole, a mid-sized investment firm known for grooming Ivy League talent and hosting champagne mixers for clients, I was the outlier. I had graduated from a decent state school, worked my way through college, and earned every inch of my career with grit and accuracy. I started as an intern and rose to senior analyst in 5 years, quicker than most. I didn't play golf with the partners or joke around with the execs over drinks. I was the numbers guy. When a client wanted a straight answer on a portfolio's performance, they came to me. I liked it that way. My colleagues called me a quiet workhorse, and though they meant it as a compliment, sometimes it felt like a cage. Quiet. Invisible. Replaceable. The Monday I got fired was like any other. I had my usual black coffee, reviewed my portfolio analyses, and walked into the weekly strategy meeting with my team. But before it even began, I got a message from HR asking me to come to their office. I wasn't nervous. I hadn't done anything wrong. I thought maybe it was about the promotion I was in line for. My numbers were the strongest of anyone in the division. I had just landed a new client worth $2.3 million in managed assets. The HR manager, Claire, didn't smile when I walked in. She didn't offer me coffee. She had a manila folder on her desk and a second person in the room, someone from legal. That's when the unease began to creep in. Daniel, she began, we've received a report regarding unauthorized activity involving a client's funds. A discrepancy was traced back to your account credentials. I blinked. My mouth went dry. What? An internal audit revealed movement of funds without proper approval. The client flagged it last Thursday. IT confirmed your login was used. I remember my voice trembling. There has to be a mistake. I've never moved funds without written authorization. There should be a paper trail. But it didn't matter. They weren't interested in the truth. They were reading from a script. My box was already packed. I was walked out by security. No one made eye contact. I remember gripping the sides of the cardboard box, my coffee mug rattling inside, as I stepped into the elevator. Later, I found out who had orchestrated it. Martin Cole. He was the founder's son and the newly minted vice president of client strategy. He had charm, connections, and very little discipline. He came from money and looked like someone who never had to worry about anything serious. Martin had botched a major presentation, numbers were off, charts mislabeled. The client threatened to walk. To save face, he needed a scapegoat. And since my login had been used to draft the early report, he had the perfect target. He didn't even look at me when it happened. Just went on with his day like he hadn't just destroyed mine. The days after that were a blur. I applied for jobs, emailed old colleagues, begged for references. At first, they responded with politeness. Then silence. Whispers were spreading. The financial industry is small. Your name doesn't have to be blacklisted publicly, just hinted at. My name became toxic. I emptied my savings account in 6 months. I sold my car, gave up my apartment, and moved in with my cousin Evan. He had a tiny studio with a fold-out couch and paper-thin walls. I remember lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling fan, wondering if I would ever be able to crawl out of the hole they'd thrown me into. One night, I stood in the bathroom, looking at myself in the mirror. My face looked hollow. My skin dull. I thought about what it would mean to just stop trying. Let go. Disappear. No one would notice. But something inside me refused to let go. It wasn't rage. Not yet. It was shame. And the quiet need to prove, to myself more than anyone, that I was more than what they had reduced me to. The first break came from Amanda, an old friend from undergrad. She was starting a financial app for young investors and needed help analyzing user data. She couldn't pay much, but she offered equity. I took the job without hesitation. I worked out of coffee shops and Evan's kitchen table. I built the back-end analytics, identified churn trends, and helped optimize their financial algorithms. They doubled their user base in 3 months. From there, another startup found me. Then another. By the end of the second year, I was working with 5 different companies, all quietly, all behind the scenes. No LinkedIn updates. No press. Just results. I saved every dollar. I ate instant noodles. I wore the same 3 dress shirts. But I built something. I called it Mercer Advisory. No office, just a name and a growing list of clients. By year 3, I had a team of 2 part-time analysts and a tax advisor. In year 4, I landed a European fintech firm that needed someone to restructure their North American investments. They offered me a retainer that made me laugh out loud. I thought it was a mistake. It wasn't. I invested. Quietly. Smartly. I learned how to spot undervalued firms, how to move through shell corporations, how to hide in plain sight. I never forgot what Martin did to me. But I didn't chase revenge. Until the email came. Subject, acquisition opportunity, Rothbridge & Cole. I froze. The firm was in trouble. The founder had passed away. Martin was acting CEO. The company had suffered massive client losses and was hemorrhaging cash. Lawsuits were brewing. They were looking for buyers. I sat with that email for 2 days before I replied. When I walked back into the Rothbridge building 6 years after being fired, no one recognized me. My beard was thicker. My suit sharper. I carried myself differently. My lawyer, Chloe, walked beside me, clipboard in hand. We toured the offices. Half the desks were empty. The receptionist was new. I saw familiar logos missing from the client board in the hallway. We ran due diligence. The firm was worse than I thought. Martin had hired overpriced consultants. He'd made a series of bad hires. Morale was in the toilet. But the bones were still good. The name still had value. I made an offer. 51% stake. Full controlling interest. Immediate cash injection. Martin didn't even argue. He was desperate. When the deal closed, I stood in the corner office, once his, and looked out at the city. Martin came to see me 2 days later. He smiled, pretending nothing had happened. "Dan," he said. "Hell of a twist, huh? Look at you now." I didn't smile. "Water under the bridge, right?" he offered. I opened a drawer and placed 2 envelopes on the desk. "What's this?" "My termination file. The internal emails between you and Carla. The edits you made. The access logs." She kept the originals. He paled. "You're bluffing." "No. I'm just more patient than you." He reached for the envelope, fingers trembling. "I won't press charges," I said. "But you'll resign. Today. You'll sign the NDA. And you will never work in finance again." He didn't speak. Just signed. At 2:14 p.m., Martin Cole left the building for the last time. No fanfare. No goodbyes. Just silence. I didn't celebrate. I didn't post about it. I sat on my balcony that night, glass of whiskey in hand, watching the city lights flicker. It's been 2 years since then. We renamed the firm Stonepath Equity. A tribute to the hard way up. We're leaner. Kinder. We offer mentorship programs. We have profit sharing. We talk to each other like people. And me? I still walk the floor every day. Quiet. Steady. Present. People ask me if it felt good to buy the company that fired me. If it tasted sweet to see Martin fall. Yes. But not for the reasons they think. It wasn't revenge. It was validation. It was a whisper to the scared version of myself who once stood in a bathroom wondering if he mattered. He did. He just needed time to remember. Thanks for listening. If you like this story, hit that subscribe button. There's more where this came from, right here on Story Nest.